The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is All Things Elite. Welcome back to All Things Elite. Load up the pod, man, it's on when we speak. Rich right here, let me warm it up for Austin and Floyd. Couldn't be no one but the boys. When it come to All Things Elite from the fan perspective, swear, man, it ain't no question. Hear from them first. Swear, man, they putting in the work. No, they had to get me for the verse. Social Suplex Network's on. I was at a time in your headphones. Austin and Floyd on the microphone. Backing out on the ring, getting in the zone. Pulling up the show, give it 7 stars, you already know. Who else could it be but the show with the proclivity for positivity? I'm gone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 216th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. My name is Austin Sumwitz, and I am the host of this lovely show. Joining with me, as always, is my good buddy and friend, Mr. Floyd Johnson Jr. My man, how has your week been?
Dude, let me tell you first thing, it is great to hear your voice. I did the show by myself last week just because of Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff, and that was not my favorite thing to do. So
I feel you, man. I was sad I didn't get to be on there to talk about the paper because it was a lot of fun.
So yeah, we got to talk about the show. It was fun to get everything out there, but it's great to have you back. I am doing well. The last time I was on the show, I was on the way to meet Mark Hamill, you know, and the mission accomplished. I met Luke Skywalker. I met Mark Hamill. I met the Joker. Yeah, I guess to a younger generation, the Joker. To me, Luke Skywalker. He was so, first of all, so short. So short. I like this guy, you know, when I was young, I didn't really know what Star Wars is, but it came on before rest stuff. So Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, was like, man, it's like I looked up to him, but I was looking down at him when I turned 12, I guess. That dude's not tall at all, but he's super entertaining. Natural. We went to like kind of like one-man show Friday night, and he had the natural charisma. I think he could tour it. I mean, him just sitting there talking about life, stuff he's done, people he's talked to, was just so entertaining. It had been I actually had a 26-hour day. Unlike Hulk Hogan, it was math. Because when I flew from Oklahoma City to San Francisco, I gained 2 hours.
There you go.
So I literally had a 26-hour day. So I'm sitting there watching the show, and I'm exhausted. I don't know how I'm going to make it. But that dude was so entertaining and funny, kept me awake. I dozed off my bed. But I was exhausted. It was, okay. So when you listen to comedians, and a lot of the punchlines that are funny, but sometimes like they have it where they're telling the story to set up what the joke is going to be.
Right.
And it's just like, well, yeah, it was the setup didn't come quick enough for me. I passed it. No, but it was very entertaining. Met him the next day, got our picture with him. Super happy to be there. They were like, no touching. They were like stripper rules. They were like, no touching, no this, no that. And Mark Hamill, as soon as the first person he grabs him, gives him a big hug, and takes the picture. He initiated the contact. You didn't have to ask for anything. If people wanted their hug pic, it was Tiffany. When I met Tiffany, which is, I guess it'd be during the first year of AEW when I met, so 2009. So she had not met any Star Wars, any, and I really didn't care about meeting, but I remember us talking about how she hadn't met him. Oh no, we're fixing that. It started off with me getting a Rave Park Funko signed for her, and then since then we have met, good Lord, so many people.
I know.
Now Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, now Mark Hamill, Rosario Dawson, Tamora Morrison, Ashley Eckstein, which I believe is like her favorite person, Star Wars voice of the cartoon Ahsoka. So many different people that we met. Star Wars collection is great. I wouldn't even say I love Star Wars. I've seen like all the stuff in the Star Wars universe. I don't think I've watched Clone, but other than that, I've pretty much watched everything in the Star Wars universe. So I do like Star Wars, but I am definitely not the fan Tiffany was. My journey to Star Wars all came from trying to make sure she met all the people Star Wars.
For real.
Yeah, so yeah, we had a great time. That was a bucket list moment for her. Even when they announced, it was like, we're going. And it was like, there was no doubt in my mind we had to go. And yeah, San Francisco Fan Expo, 3 stories up and down, really good time. Tamura Morrison, who plays Boba Fett, really nice and humble. You would not know he's famous. And it was a funny story. There's this movie called Couples Retreat starring Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau and all that stuff. So during the movie, they're at this retreat and there's this guy just banging the gong. That's all he does the whole movie. It's Boba Fett. That's literally all he does. He does not talk. He does not act. He literally, they just...
Close to the same amount of lines that he has in the actual trilogy.
Yes. Boom. And he just gongs. And it's like, I wonder, when doing that, during this period of time, did he know he was going to be starring in his own Disney Plus?
Probably not.
He's just like, dude, I do this for fun when I have time. And it's like, now you're like people are lined up, get a picture. Boba Fett, you are Boba Fett. You're not like just the guy that was in the movie for a few seconds. You have your own character. People care about you. So I dug that. The fact that I've met Boba Fett and Finn Shan, both cool. It's added to my pop collection. Also, the con had a pop young Leia with, so Vivian Lyra Blair was there. Played young Leia it's called. Play that, and I got her to sign that. So I have a nice Star Wars signed pop.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun weekend. We was celebrating Tiffany's birthday. I'm gonna say happy birthday to Tiffany. Really, she doesn't listen to the show, but her birthday. This show comes out on her birthday, December 1st. So happy birthday, Tiff. I'm glad I got to spend that weekend with you. Got to eat a lot of good food. We watched probably the subject of our first conversation, Survivors series together. It was a good weekend. It was a perfect. Oh yeah, and the Chiefs of Florida State one. It was literally like you could
back in the top 4.
Yeah, couldn't ask for a better week.
That Oregon do that matchup this weekend is going to be crazy. Yeah. Like Oregon, Washington, Michigan winning the Big Ten championship, and Florida State's game 2. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, Louisville could beat Florida State just because of the quarter.
We'll hope to see if they can pull it out. But I will say too, I had a wild week. I was down at Ford Field basically 3 times this week. I did some Lions stuff. I was able to go to the Michigan State massacre at Ford Field against Penn State. That was a disaster, but was a perfect weekend though, because for literally no reason other than the fact that the game was being streamed on Peacock and Survivor Series War Games was this weekend, Big E was there. The Iowa Hawkeye at the wrong game, even though he probably should have been getting ready for the Michigan game, considering his team was going to face whoever won that game. But Big E was at Ford Field in Detroit for the Michigan State-Penn State game. He was before the game banging on the giant bass drum that had Big Ten Friday night on it, and then he also got the Ford Field crowd hype right after halftime. And I literally was just standing off the side, being like, the moment this man gets an opportunity to just walk by, I have to ask for it. And I was just like, dog, am I too much of a fan? Because I got my camera and I'm working basically, but I'm like, am I too much of a fan if I just ask for a quick picture, man? And he's like, not at all. And he was just, his handler was able to take the picture for us. It's an awesome picture as well. I told him I hope he stays healthy and hope he's able to get back in the ring soon. And he said, thank you very much. So I got to meet Big E. Love that dude to death. It was such a random occurrence. I literally saw on Instagram that he was here, and I was like, what is he doing here? He is a Hawkeye. So shout out Big E. I do hope he gets to be back in the ring soon, because, man, we missed that.
He looked happy and healthy, but...
Oh, yeah.
But you can look happy and healthy and not be able to, fall on purpose.
Well, I still don't believe, dude, that man has been able to heal up the way that he has, the injury that he suffered. Like, other people land like he did would be paralyzed. And the fact that he is as healthy as he is a blessing. And I'm just happy that he seems to be enjoying life right now. I just hope that eventually, for us fans' sakes, we get to see him do what he does best one last time. Man, that'd stand it.
Hell yeah. No, shout out to, come on back.
Absolutely.
I mean, as long as it's safe and healthy, I'm...
Absolutely. Well, we got a lot to talk about on this episode of All Things Elite. We're going to get through the shilling real quick, because you all know what you're probably expecting from at least me for this episode of the podcast. Make sure you guys download this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. If you listen listen to us on Spotify, wherever you choose to listen to us. Give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Leave a rating and a review. Subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. And you can also follow us on Twitter at ATPod. You can also follow at Social Suplex, who make this show possible. And they are at Social Suplex. Check out all the other shows they have on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. And the big news of the week. Sorry to say, because I know Floyd was talking endlessly about how he wanted this so badly. Not the case. CM Punk will not be the man under the devil mask. As much as Floyd has lobbied for it, as much as I would have loved if that was the case, is not the case. And that is simply because hell froze over and CM Punk went back to WWE after a decade, nearly a decade, his last appearance. 2 months after he was fired with cause from AEW. CM Punk is back in WWE. I will go ahead and let Floyd talk about this, though, because we're going to give it a little bit more of an AEW focus, because I know Floyd said how much he wanted it to be the devil, and he literally tweeted out from the All Things Twitter account. I was ecstatic. Floyd was heart. I will let him take lead on this one before you wait for the fanboy to give his thoughts.
Okay, so I want to be very clear with my thoughts. I was heartbroken because I had not accepted CM Punk was away fired. So in this moment, in the moment where the music hits, CM Punk comes out in the WWE, not only did CM Punk's with WWE, it's like all the disappointment of, okay, he's not the devil. Oh, he didn't work out. So as me, I always say I am the true Def fan fanatic, original Def. I just love this so much. I love professional wrestling, but AEW is my preferred brand. It literally, like, when I say this and people were like, oh, you take stuff serious, whatever you want to do, you listen to this podcast, you know it broke my heart in so many different ways. It broke my heart that CM Punk and AEW couldn't work it out. I am telling you right now, I am not putting the blame on either one. It is what it is. Some relationships work, some relationships don't. Fault to be held by all sides, all parties, whatever. I am upset. I wanted to work out pretty much anything I can say of life that isn't something that I control. AEW, very special. I've been all in talk. So that being said, it shook me up. Be like, oh, couldn't, because I've been a wrestling fan my whole life. As far as the dirt sheets and all that side of it, if I don't like the media, wrestling media, the news site that come out and all that side of it, I've been a part of at least 20 years. So, I hear all about the backstage stuff. And then I watch the videos talking about stuff that happened in the 90s. And it didn't seem to me, an outsider, a fan, someone that does not work in the industry. I want to make sure that it's very clear. It didn't seem to me that what was going on backstage with CM Punk, the information we have that was going backstage with CM Punk, didn't seem enough to warrant him not being company. It seemed like his star power would be more than any of the headache that comes. So in this moment when CM showed up, all of that came crushing down. It's the fact that it didn't. It's not that he went WWE. That's what I mean. WWE's WWE, WWE going forever. Don't get me. It was that. It was the official AEW CM Punk relation couldn't work out. One of the happiest moments in my wrestling, I'd say top 5, at least top 5 moment was CM Punk coming out in the United States in the ring. Top 5 live wrestling, such an emotion. And the fact that it ended the way it ended, it sour taste, as far as me as a wrestler. So yes, I am heartened. I'm still trying to, because a lot of people had accepted, and probably people that had Fightful and Wrestling Observer had accepted that when he was gone, he's gone, and they've already went through their mourning process, if there was one, or did their victory lap. But my mourning process started Saturday, because for the life, I couldn't believe, for the little, hey, these people don't get along backstage shit, that was a reason CM Punk not work for AEW. It is what it is. Again, I want to make it clear, if I haven't, I don't work in it. I don't I have people that are friendly with me, you know what I mean? But I don't have any ties. I have no secrets or backstage. This is me being a fan, taking in information, going where I want to go. It breaks my heart, because I do think seeing the devil. I don't know who the devil. I don't think it's almost to the point where I don't want to speculate. I just kind of want to let it happen. But I don't know who the devil. But I don't. But whoever it is, to me personally, my personal fandom, it's going to be a legend. Because I think at this point it's Adam Cole. I mean, honestly, I don't even think anyone else makes sense. Point. I mean, Adam Cole, I've said Britt Baker, I've said Jungle, but I don't think anyone makes sense other than Adam Cole. And while that is good, I don't think it's the game changer CM Punk would have been. And I don't think it's that. Like, right now, it does not look like there isn't, like, I felt like there have been times in the last few years, AEW very, very much on the cusp of being on that next level. I feel like this is probably the furthest being on this level. Still a quality show. It still has minimum amount of viewers. The world is not sinking at anyway. But I just think this is the furthest it has been in a while.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yes. Now, I will say, too, I echo a lot of what the fact that CM Punk and AEW could not actually come to reconcile was something that was heartbreaking. Problem is, for like Floyd's going through that right now because he had basically come to terms of the fact that it's like, oh no, he'll come back. So it's still salvageable. I basically gave up from the moment he got fired with call because from that point on, I was like, okay, we're done here. But then at the same time, too, I was like, well, then he's done. So I had come to the acceptance of like, okay, so we're done here. I'll just go into my corner and cry for the rest of humanity. So that was where I was the past 2 months. And yeah, I had been hopeful that he would come back as the devil because I did think that would be an absolute massive bomb if that was, and it would shot rocket that feud and that storyline and give it that last bit, just bam, man, everything hits. And then holy crap, we get MJF versus CM Punk again, but with the roles reversed. I would have loved nothing more than that. I thought it would be spectacular. But at the same time, too, I thought that was, unfortunately, everything had just been so burnt down that there was no way it was going to work out. But then again, I thought the same thing with him coming back to WWE. I thought that was a possibility. And I heard everybody saying leading up to Survivor Series War Games, coming back, he's coming back, he's coming back. And I was literally holding my phone in my hand watching the show. And as that little graphic showed up in the bottom right-hand corner, I was like, man, people got their hopes up so hard. But here comes everyone thinking that he's the devil. We'll go down that road and we'll do our predictions on that. And we'll hope to God that's... And then the static hit and I literally dropped to my knees and screamed because it was just... You know, people lived through Bret Hart coming back. People had lived through Ultimate Warrior coming back. I never lived through those. I lived through the returns. I saw Bret Hart come back to WWE, and I didn't know how big of a deal that was because it was within my first year or two of watching wrestling. And Ultimate Warrior came back. I didn't know anything about their whole shit that went down and their downfall of their relation. CM Punk was my version of all of that. And I truly thought, never say never, you can take that and shove it. He will never go back. And he did. He literally showed up on Monday Night Raw and said, I'm home. And it was I had whiplash. And I want to make this very clear. I am ecstatic because my favorite wrestler is back on. Am I heartbroken that AEW and them couldn't work it out? Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I just like CM Punk wrestling and I like watching. It doesn't matter what. He could have been in Japan. He could have been in Mexico. And I would have absolutely tuned in every single time he was on to watch that. Because, I mean, dude, this is my guy. I have hitched my wagon to him and I have no intention of removing myself from wagon. Even after it went through a massive train fire through an orphanage. I still hitched my wagon, but that does not change anything AEW. I've said to people all over the place, I have been a CM Punk fan since I started watching wrestling, and I have been an AEW fan since before they had a TV deal, and I was at All In 2018 at the Sears Center. So my position changes no way. Will I watch CM Punk on WWE? Absolutely. I still keep up with what WWE does, even though I'm a hardcore big fan of AEW. And that doesn't change with my favorite wrestler being in the other company. So I've enjoyed. Twitter is melting down. I get to see CM Punk. I get to buy more t-shirts and shit that I definitely don't need, but god damn it. That stupid Chicago Punk hand logo, it's just so good. And I just love the fact that I have it. And I'm going to get in the mail soon. But yeah, no, I will say too, for the AEW fans, no, I did think him being the devil would be outstanding. And I did want them to make amends because at the end of the day, AEW is my favorite wrestling company. You put CM Punk in my favorite wrestling company, everything just becomes equally better. And like Floyd said him returning at the United Center at the first dance was his top 5. That was my number 1. And it's not even close. I cried when I was there. And it was the best year of wrestling in my entire life from the first dance to All Out 20. And nothing will top that. I'm ecstatic to see what he does in WWE. Seth Rollins motherfucking him and flipping him off all over the place when he showed up. This feud is going to be spectacular. The idea that they're actually floating around CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know how the hell that'll look in 2024 of all things, but you know what? I'm open to it because that's a match I've dreamed of since I was a fan of. But you know what, man? It's just wrestling's crazy. And I know some people are mad. Some people are ecstatic, elated, and all that kind of stuff. I just love the fact that wrestling is at this point where it's like this type of reaction can just cause the entire world to shake. I live for these moments. I live for these moments where just everybody can't stop talking about this. And, you know, this is just one of those moments, dude. It's like, where were you when the Static hit at the Prudential Center? He showed up and he walked out, plain white t-shirt and all. And he was back in a WWE build first time in nearly a decade.
Yeah, I mean, in that night, again, we're going to go right back to AEW.
Absolutely.
But Cody wrestles in his dad's show finally. Randy Orton comes back after being gone almost 2 years.
And he looks great, too.
And what news blows that both out of the water? CM Punk. But
he's not a draw. But he's not a needle mover.
Just returning. I mean, just returning is like, I forgot the stupid number of social media impressions that it had, like in the first few hours.
He's broken AEW and WWE social media records, both of them.
Raw rating.
I don't know a single wrestler who has 2 social media records in 2 separate companies.
Again, so I will say that the one thing I have learned all of my wrestling, so I will move on. You know, I'm as upsetting as I was, I've already started to like be over it, but you know, good luck to CM Punk in WWE. I'll be at WrestleMania, so it's not like, you know, I won't be seeing him perform. I'll be at WrestleMania, so that's the case. But you know what? Shout out to AEW. I mean, like the young AEW is, you know, the young pro wrestling talent. Bryan Danielson made out a tweet that I've pretty much made fun of, but that his dad always said, you know, what's hard, what's not, or what's right is not always most profitable, but it's in the end it's what's right. And I was like, yeah. No businessman in the history of business has ever said that. Ever.
The disciplinary committee is just onto a hot start.
Yeah, I was like, no one has ever said this, and this is the man that still to this day calls Vince McMahon a great man. I'm just gonna throw that. Hey, you know what? I want to throw that out because I still enjoy Bryan Danielson as a wrestler. You know, don't get me wrong.
He's one of my favorite in AEW.
Yeah, he's a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong. Would we necessarily agree in life as far as conversations? No, probably not. And that's what it came down to. I thought that's whatever. I'm like.
All I would say
know
is
where you work, right?
Yeah. All I would say too is that for people that are genuinely being like, oh my God, AEW dying because like one guy left. Like, I mean, is it a like? Listen, I would say like for some people, would this be a perception shifter? Yeah, no. I mean, it's the first AEW champion to show up in WWE. Gonna be a perception shifter, casuals regardless.
But he hasn't been there in months. Exactly. You know, it's been months. I was hoping that was also part of some gimmick, but even me, I said it was 99.9% sure he wasn't the devil. It was that 0.1% in me that died on Saturday.
Exactly. All I would say too is that for fans of AEW, like the thing I would always say about AEW is that right now they still are, and they're doing the right thing, which is heavily leaning into that alternative brand that they are trying to be compared to WWE. Now, they do have a lot more sports entertainment-esque stuff that they've done over the past few months, but they literally just started a tournament that is full-on New Japan, and it's started out very, very well, and I'm enjoying every second of this type of stuff that we don't see in America too often. This is the type of stuff that you set yourself up to be the counter to the established WWE. Plus, your roster is like 10 years younger than the entire WWE roster, so there's still so much growth and so much to look forward to with AEW, not just because, and I say this as a guy who loves CM Punk more than any other wrestler in the entire history of wrestling. That is my favorite, and nothing will change that. But AEW still has so much exciting shit right now. So please look at this on the positive. It was never going to work out. Like, there was so much drama and so much like just lines that had been drawn, and like the relationship had been scorched so bad that there was really no way of fixing. And listen guys, after following All In London, the biggest show in AEW, people were talking more about CM Punk than they were about the fact that AEW had sold out the Wembley Stadium. I think for AEW, it's a good thing, honestly, just because, you know, you get to move on. It was a nice little moment in time where CM Punk worked in AEW. He wasn't working in AEW just because of the way that the locker room was set up. and because TK didn't do the right. You didn't put these people into a room. You didn't get them to hash shit out. That's on you.
Yeah.
But I think TK sees that and goes, okay, that's on me. Now let's do pro wrestling the right way. And that's what I think that they're going to be doing from this point on.
Well, I made the joke that if Punk and the Bucks could have just went out, sat down, and had a drink, they would have got this taken care of.
But the other guy doesn't drink. So
None of them drink. None of them drink. No. We look forward to it. I saw CM Punk's first match in AEW live. I saw his last AEW live.
I saw his first appearance in AEW live. I saw his last appearance on Dynamite.
And he won both of the matches.
Well, he didn't even wrestle in a match on Dynamite. He just showed up.
No, I was talking about me seeing him in his first match live.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, he won both of the matches. So there you go. And it is what it is. And like I said, wrestling moves on. We would have been remiss if we didn't, not only talk about the start. It was the biggest news in wrestling.
And again, guys, I mean, do you know who one of the hosts of this show is?
Yes.
I would have walked off if we didn't at least mention it.
I mean, if it wasn't for FTR, I'd be sure AEW hates. My favorite wrestler at the time, my favorite wrestler in wrestling is Cody Rhodes. He started with AEW, left AEW. My favorite wrestler of all time is Arn Anderson. Started with AEW, left AEW. CM Punk was then my favorite wrestler in AEW, and he got fired. So there seems to be some kind of jinx on being my favorite wrestler and being in AEW.
Should have just stuck with Darby Allin the whole time.
Dude, Darby Allin's climbing mountain, and it's just he's climbing Mount Everest or whatever the hell. I was just like, so it's like, I'm almost afraid, like, everyone knows I love FTR, can't take that back. I'm almost afraid to say who my new favorite wrestler is, because I feel like in 5 months he won't be there anymore. So I'm just going to stop saying that and just be like, yeah, I really like wrestling. And I'll just hold my favorite inside of me. Damn, I'm tired of losing my guys.
I feel it, man. I feel you. But
all right.
Yeah. All right. We'll move off of that. I'm happy CM Punk is back in wrestling because, like I've always said, wrestling is better. When people got a problem with that, I think way too much stock in a wrestler person. But either way, we got a lot to talk about. Going through, this was the first week of the Continental Classic. We had our first few matches take place on Collision in the Blue League, so that we'll get into that. The only things I wanted to talk about specifically, Rampage-wise, first of all, Shibata and Yuta with a nice little match, I would say. And then also, we had our first Continental Classic matchup, which was Daniel Garcia versus Claudio Castagnoli. And in the end, the winner of that match was Claudio Castagnoli, who got the first points in the Blue League and currently is 1-0 in the Blue League, tied for first place with who ended up winning later in the night. First of all, I just want to get my thoughts to Floyd. How have you just enjoyed the start of the Continental Classic as we just got our first couple matches on Rampage? On Collision, main. But what has been your first impressions on the way that they have presented the Continental Classic? Because
it wasn't one. Japan is not live. You know what I mean? So their stuff made pretty much the audience there. You watch, they're allowed to tell these like 30 times, but on TV you need time. And I do think really good match. Really good. I think one was great, and we'll talk about that one in a minute.
Yep.
But really good matches, and I'm like, the best part is what you got to look forward to, and we've had our first upset, which is really good. That's
what these tournaments do best, is having the upsets, having people like get big, get some points.
The worst thing it could have been is predictable. So we've had an upset. I loved it. I thought the matches on Dynamite were really good. The matches we're looking forward to this Saturday are really good, and so I'm looking. I am really ecstatic. This has been everything I wanted it to be, and it puts a focus on wrestling. Like as much as you had some entertainment stuff in it, when the matches mattered, their stake. You didn't know who was winning. I mean, those are what I look for. Like, to me, this Dynamite felt like pretty much like what a new classic AEW Dynamite's gonna be. It was 60% wrestling, 40% sports entertainment, and 40% sports entertainment, and I thought For me, that's the perfect balance.
No, and I think the way that they've started this, like, because this feels like, the Continental Classic feels like the precursor to a massive, like, 2-month-long tournament that AEW could do on the level of G1. This is just the starting of, like, trying to really ramp up these types of, like, big-time tournaments that can happen. And you had to start small the first time, like, in America, that you're doing something to the level of, like, what a G1 is. And a G1 is so much bigger than anything that you could not start just doing G1. Like, people would not connect. The way that they're starting, 6 wrestlers in each league, it's easy to follow, and it's simple, and the way that they presented it has been spectacular. Gives people a lot of just understanding where we are. But yeah, no, great start there. I love that tremendously. We had also Adam Copeland, his best promo in AEW. The biggest thing I've said about Edge and Adam is that, I mean, this dude has always been a spectacular promo, but it felt like he really, because he went off and did some acting before he returned to WWE, and then his stuff that he did during the pandemic, where he could just really hone in on that, like really get intense, just holding the audience in his hands. Like, his promo that he cut after Killswitch killed the boys, basically. But then he proceeded to get hit with the concerto. That was spectacular. So Killswitch got jumped by Adam Cope. He was able to really just start getting right. I'm going after everybody that you have, Christian. And he goes ahead and just goes straight down to the barrel talking to Christian Cage. And he said, what happened to Nick Wayne on Wednesday? What just happened to Killswitch is because of your insecurity. And he just ripped him to shreds and then called him out for Dynamite on December 6th, this upcoming Wednesday. Him versus Christian Cage for the TNT Championship in Montreal. And dude, this promo was spectacular. I loved it so much. Like, if you haven't seen it and you missed it because it was during Survivor Series War Games, please find this promo because it is so good. And I cannot say enough about Adam Copeland's promo abilities. He's one of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. AEW does have the room on Adam. If you need you're Adam and you wrestle goals and tell you the other Adam. But yeah, Edge is his intense promos. His promos with the direction. When there is a story to tell, I think good as anybody telling story. Captivated, angry Edge. And this feels like okay. We're getting. I know his name's Adam, but we're getting Ed, and it's time. Like, we're getting. He is here in AEW. There is the whole newness kind of wore off. Now it's like, okay, he's an arrival. We're setting up for a match, Canadian, that kind of thing. He's like, oh, I'm not trying to be. You're trying to. He did.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on real quick. Of course, we had the TBS Championship. Julia Hart got a big first successful defense. And then moving forward, we had FTR versus the Righteous, and they were able to get the victory in this one. But then Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews.
Before we go there, I gotta say, you had not seen FTR in the right. The finishing segment where it was like Cash was in the ring, Dax rolled out. It was just so smooth, and how they got into the Shatter Machine, just so smooth. I was like, oh my God, smooth like butter. Because I didn't see it until Sunday because of all the stuff I was doing. But yes, it was one of the more amazing, flawless, get into like a double team move. It looked like, oh, this could really happen in the world of professional wrestling. We had kind of a real moment.
Yeah. And then Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews comes up and says, if we come to the ring right now, nobody that's coming to save you. He called him Cesaro first. So no Claudio, but he actually called him Cesaro. No Yuta, no CM Punk. So great timing on that one. And then he goes, see, the misconception is that this place is not the brotherhood that you two thought. Lights go dark, lights come back on. FTR is by themselves in House of Black. First of all, can I just say that the idea of House of Black feuding with FTR has me heavily intrigued because it gives FTR a real thing that they can sink their teeth into. Because House of Black is spectacular. FTR is one of the best tag teams in AEW, and I've been meaning to see them get something to do. And this is definitely something that I like. I know Floyd is the gatekeeper of all things FTR, but have you been enjoying at least the little interactions with House of Black?
Well, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about tag team. When you have a solid tag team division, there's a main title storyline going on, and then there's one or two undercard storyline. And I think when it comes to the titles, for the most part, they've been booked booked and presented well in AEW, right? It's the secondary stuff that kind of gets lost. So the fact that FTR and the House of Black pretty much colliders. This is a collision feud, and and all of them can go. It's very exciting because I think we're going to get a good match out of it. And I'd rather at some point have it been Kings of the Black Throne, but I get it, bro. Continental Classic. Buddy Matthew, amazing work, so I don't have a problem with that. So you got Malachi and Buddy versus FTR. I am down. Let's go. I want, the regular match. I want stipulation match. I want this to be full-on tag team rival that, leads to something else, because that's when wrestling, great. When your end stories matter, matches stay, that's the kind of stuff that I want. Like, when I talk about FTR and it's like, we're like, oh, they were holding the tag. I was so upset with, because it's not their fault that, AEW hadn't done a good job of building tag to go after. They don't book themselves. That's how I see it. I'll say that about any. When you only complain about components, how matches that they're having, they're not the ones writing shit. You know what I mean? They're like, they'll go out there and perform. They're not the ones putting the match. This one matters. This is one. I'm like, you have a very challenging foe, and then you have it, and let's go. Anytime you want, Malachi can split the miss and get in that way. I mean, there's so many different things coming out, and FTR's the best tag. I think you're going to get really good in-ring.
Yeah. Next up, Dante Martin, back from his horrific injury at Ring of Honor. Was it Death Before Dishonor or was it Final Battle?
No, it was Super Card of Honor.
Super Card of Honor.
And me and JR were there. And I got to say, shout out to Mr. Martin, because when it happened, I was like, oh, he's out a year. Crazy. It hasn't even been 8 months.
I know. It's crazy. So seeing him back was awesome. Very, very happy that he is healthy enough to wrestle. And we'll get to his match when we get to Dynamite. But holy crap, man, I can't believe
I'm still shocked that he came back. The amount they've healed, I mean, I guess that's that 21, 22-year-old healing.
Honestly, man.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
We had an in-ring promo with Ricky Starks and Big Bill calling out Jericho and Kenny Omega. First of all, I just wanted to mention this about how Big Bill did mention his recovery process, which I loved. And he talked about how they were going to embarrass him because they don't see Jordan and Pippen when they look at those two, and he just sees the dudes that hand Jordan and his Bazooka Joe bubblegum before the starting lineups are introduced, which was a nice little line. And Ricky goes, I don't even watch basketball. I know all those people are really good, which I thought was funny. And so they stuck their claim towards Jericho and Kenny. And then, want to mention too, because Keith Lee cut a promo too and said, I'm tired of the misrepresentation and the lack of opportunity given to now I'm here to take it. And when I say take it, that means him. You know who I want and you know who you are. And
I mean, if it's anyone other than the hottest wrestler in AEW right now, I don't know who it is.
Honestly, guys.
I mean, honestly. It's Swerve. I mean, that's
Swerve goddamn Strickland.
It has to be. It's like,
I mean, we never got that blow off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they broke up and then like nothing happened. So like, they're capitalizing on it now because Swerve is literally the hottest thing in AEW. But like, you know what? Fair enough. It'll still work, and it gives Keith Lee something to do because god dang, I want to see that man go.
Dude, we've been waiting on Keith Lee to be Keith Lee for ever.
Yes.
I mean, he was in the tag team. It was great, and he was in it well, and then he got sick, and he had been dealing with that. I mean, it's not his fault. It's a lot of shit, and then, again, he doesn't put himself. So it's been a while. I'm hoping he's healthy and everything, and we can get Keith Lee being Lee, because Keith Lee was hot. He was in NXT. He was a star, and I just like, when it came to first black AEW champions, I wasn't thinking about, Swerve at that time. I was like, oh, it's going to be Keith Lee. So we can get that Keith Lee back. We can get that trajectory back. I would be great, because him on that trajectory, Swerve on that trajectory is going to give us amazing.
Yeah. Main event of Collision was the Ring of Honor World Champion and New Japan Strong Openweight Champion Eddie Kingston, who is putting all of his titles on the line in this tournament versus Brody King of the House of Black. Really strong match, and Brody King gets the win on Eddie Kingston, and that was absolutely wild. The match was strong as hell, and I love that they went with this immediately. Eddie Kingston, who had literally wrestled in the G1, who had been like put everything on the line in this tournament, comes out, faces a badass like Brody King, and they fight tooth and nail, and Eddie loses, and now he starts down. He starts 0-1 at the bottom of the Blue League and has to work his way back with 4 more matches left in his tournament, and he has to be in the top of the bracket, in the top of the league, if he wants to be able to make it further in the tournament. So he has to pull everything back, and he's still got some tough people to face. He's got Claudio, he's got Andrade, he hasn't even wrestled Danielson yet. So there's a good chance that Eddie could be down bad if he doesn't turn things around. And I love that that's the story for him going into this. Like this right here, and like Tony Schiavone said, this is what this tournament's all about. It's like setting things up in the tournament, storylines of how guys are going to overcome. And for Eddie, he cut a great promo as well backstage about, maybe I was too cocky, maybe I was too overconfident. And he still said, respectful in win, respectful in loss. I'm going to try to just work myself back up and try to, come out next time and get the win. He's trying to hold himself to be more professional, but I feel like as things go on, if things don't start going Eddie's way, he could become that madman that we know is.
Yeah, I really did dig this match. Brody King is one of those, why isn't he bigger than he is kind of people, because he is huge and he's an amazing professional wrestler. And you want to talk about they talk about the eye appeal, the look. You look at Brody with all those tattoos, that size, dude's legit 6'6", you know what I mean? It's like, he is a giant. He is a monster. He looks like a guy you don't, like, you walk down the alley, Brody King's walking down, that dude could be smiling at you, and I'm still gonna walk because that dude is that massive, that large. So that being said, this is his spot, doing this kind of stuff. I remember when he did the thing where he just kind of choked out Darby and just dropped him over the ring, and it was just like, yes, this is the guy that does that, and this is the guy that does that. So I am looking forward to Brody King the rest of this tournament. This match was banger. As far as big meaty, it was very much a slap and meat match, but you don't want to slap meat with Brody.
You really don't.
You should try to take his legs out. There's a lot of other strategies. Just going straight at Brody King, not the way to beat him. That's what Eddie Kingston does. So it's like, look at a matchup of fighting style. Yes, Eddie Kingston really fell right into what Brody King wanted, and that's why he lost the match.
No, so spectacular. Like I said, this tournament was already off to an incredible start. And again, like, I love that they have been doing like New Japan-esque social media style promos that they post after wrestlers win or lose. So check those out too. Be sure you follow AEW on the social so you see those promos because they are great. Now we can head off into Dynamite from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where we opened up with a Gold League match starting on the other side of the bracket, where we had Blackpool Combat Club's Jon Moxley versus Jay Lethal. You can see Lethal was very much upset because you don't get to have anybody at ringside for this tournament. Everyone is banned, and they wrestled pretty well, and Jay was able to kind of really work and get Moxley's leg and work on it. But at the end of the day, Lethal, after trying to go for the figure four multiple times, was not able to hold on to it long enough. Moxley is able to get choke on to Jay Lethal, which makes him tap out. And he is now the first wrestler to get 6 points. He is 2-0 to start in the Continental Classic. So he is already well strong and holding himself up. With 3 matches to go, he's already in a good position to start off this tournament. Jay Lethal, meanwhile, is 0-2. It is not looking good to start for him. And yeah, obviously I wasn't able to talk about the other matches that were on last week after the full gear and everything like that. But yeah, Moxley is already off to an incredible start.
Yes, I thought this match was really good. I think second time early on when Jay Lethal was in, I think they put on a really good match. This is Mox doing his best. Mox just wants to go out there, 2 guys and guys better. On most nights, gonna Mox. That's who he is in AEW. He's the guy. He's the final boss. That's it. So on any given night, you're probably gonna even night, you're probably gonna lose to Mox. And Jay Lethal gave it a great effort, but Mox is Mox, and it was a good match. And Mox has that's his style. If you like Mox's style, you're going to like every match that he's in. He doesn't deviate far away from that. And if you don't like Mox's style, you're probably going to hate everything that he does. So if you love the kind of street fighter, do anything to win kind of win, that is what Jon Moxley is. So, and this was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we had Tony Schiavone backstage with Sting and Ric Flair. And Sting talked about how his first world title match in March of 1988 against Ric Flair. And he said they had a 45 minutes commercial free on TV and they went to war against each other. And he said, you know what? That's where they're going to end everything. Just like before, it's going to be at Greensboro in North Carolina, where he had his first world title match. He's going to have his final match in wrestling. And Ric Flair talked about how, I'm grateful and honored to be standing by his side. And yeah, Greensboro Coliseum. And that's where they're going to end Sting's career at Revolution on March 3rd. Now, do you want to talk about the way that people have been about Ric Flair and how he's now gone on to Twitter and really kind of like been like, I'm not trying to ruin anything, but like y'all are being assholes. Like I'll leave if this is getting distracted. It's just weird. Like I just don't understand the way that wrestling fans act and the way that like Ric Flair is just, because he's been weird on social media too. He's been actively like, talking about the Michigan football controversy and stuff like that. I'm just like, Flair should not be on Twitter. You are too old for social media, Fred.
Okay, let me be, first of all, ageism is a thing, so stop being an ageist.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Social media, there's no reason for him to be on it.
Anybody can have an opinion. There's a lot of people's Twitters I would take away if I could.
Oh, I know.
The list is about 1 million before. I've seen the dumbest ass posts since CM Punk returned. Just since then, I've seen the dumbest. There's a bunch of people I would take their Twitter away before I do Ric Flair. But that being said, because should be allowed to say what they want. I understand people that have. At this point, I think restating every day is, what I mean. At this point, it's there. Fuck, not that's your business. I can't tell you what you're allowed to, right? I can't tell you you're allowed to be upset. It's just like, this man is here. I mean, he's not in jail. You know what I mean? It's like you can not like him personally, but the character on it, I don't get it. I don't get the problem.
I didn't want to make a whole big thing out of it.
But like I do.
It's definitely like just one of those things. It's wow, Punk left, and all of a sudden people lashed on another guy they were on.
Yeah, it's the social. Let me say that AEW fan, my opinion, more socially conscious than W. So signing someone like with his outs, with every pass, is going to come at you a lot harder in the AEW fan base than it does in the WWE fan base, who are more likely to just turn on to watch a TV show. Yeah. So like I say, I'd rather people just go past it. I mean, to me, it's like the dude's on TV maybe 5 minutes every couple hours.
Not wrestling. The Ric Flair shtick and he go.
Yeah, so I don't understand.
And he's literally just there just to be riding, hey, I want to see one of my greatest rivals, one of my close friends, ride off into the sunset. And he just wants to be along for the ride. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But you know what? You decide your line. You decide what your line is. If your idea try to make a 74-year-old man's life a living hell by tweeting about him every day and tagging him, saying he's a piece of shit, I mean, that's between you and whoever you. I can't tell you not to do it. I would prefer you didn't. But me, it's like, I'm more of if he was winning the world title, I'd have a problem. Like if he was wrestling every week, I'd have a problem with it. But he's kind of a mascot at this point in his life, right?
Yes.
He's kind of there, I don't mean that to insult Flair or insult anybody. No. I just think, honestly, if you look at his role in AEW, it's not a huge role. So yeah, honestly, I don't know why.
The most egregious thing that he's done is just like chill for his energy drink.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I like Ric Flair. But to the bigger point, Sting announcing his match with Flair. I will tell you, like, I booked my hotel airfare already.
Absolutely.
I'm flying there. Reason for me, I tell a lot of stories. I tell a lot of stories about me growing up a wrestler. I remember the Clash of Champions, worst Sting's time, and I remember watching my young eyes wanting Sting so bad. Of course, I think it was a draw. I know he didn't win, right? And I remember it was on during WrestleMania. They gave you Clash of Champions free going up against WrestleMania, if I'm understanding, if I remembering correctly. And I remember we couldn't afford to go to WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even a thought. when I say couldn't afford, it wasn't even a thought. Ordering a pay-per-view, it wasn't even a thought. If we were going to watch WrestleMania, it's going to because my dad was able to steal it, right? But we weren't going to even order. So we were like, it wasn't a choice. We were watching Clash of Champions because we couldn't. And I remember it was like a really thing, the excitement and heartbreak and everything. Like in this now, 40 years later, I have not watched that match back. I still remember how I felt watching, right? So the fact is, where, you talk about the evolution of fandom, where I was this guy that had to watch, sitting there with my generic wrestling figures, watching the show at home, and now I'm going to be 42 years old in Greensboro watching Sting, my favorite wrestler at that age, wrestle his final match. That just means a lot to me as far as a wrestler fan. The moment's not even here yet, but it's gonna rate very highly in my moments. It's literally gonna be watching a piece of my childhood close, like a chapter of my childhood close, the longest chapter as far as being a wrestler. And so yeah, I am shout out. Greensboro's the perfect city. I get to go to North Carolina. I'm gonna raise up. I'm gonna take my shirt off, twist around my head, spin it like a helicopter.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. No, I'm all for it, man. It's going to be ecstatic to see that happen. Yeah. We'll move on, though, to another Gold League match in the Continental Classic, Mark Briscoe versus Roosh. Our first match between two men who are winless in the tournament, so somebody's got to come and get their first 3 points, or, unless it went to a draw and they would each share one. First of all, there was a point in this match where Mark Briscoe lost his gum, fell onto the canvas, and he literally goes and eats the gum off the canvas to get it back into his mouth, and Excalibur and Taz couldn't stop laughing. I thought that was an absolutely spectacular match. Roosh, though, really got a moment to just start laying in blow to Mark Briscoe in this match. And it was really, really good. And Roosh was able to get on the board, get his first win. So he's now 1-1 in the tournament. He is got 3 points to his name. So yeah, it was a nice win for Roosh to get him some momentum. Mark Briscoe now, he and Jay Lethal are 0-2 in the Gold League, and they got to really try to climb back as things go on. But especially for Mark Briscoe, he's got maybe one win that he could possibly get, and it's against Jay Lethal. Lethal, though, meanwhile, Lethal's got a ridiculous lineup ahead of him. He's got Jay White and Roosh that he's going to go up against. And Mark Briscoe's got Swerve and Jay White left over on his side of things. So these two got hell to pay against their remaining matches. But I thought Briscoe and Roosh did a solid job in this match.
Oh, dude, it has not been this match at all.
No, yeah.
Roosh seems to be, he knows who he is, a wrestler, know he is as a character, very physical. I've never seen a Mark Briscoe match that was bad or I didn't like or anything. He knows how to do this, and it was a very good match. When you talk about what is AEW, it's what is AEW? Look at that match, and it's it wasn't super flashy, it wasn't you guys trying, and I think that is what you're going to need.
Yeah, no, for sure. We then have an in-ring promo with MJF still working with his cane, and he talked about how at World's End beat Samoa Joe, and him for the AEW World Championship. And he talked about how, I respect what he's done for this industry. He didn't come here to line his pockets, but because he believes in AEW. And he said, back in the early 2000s, I remember getting a poster in my mailbox for TNA Wrestling. He tuned into TNA, and he saw the Samoan Submission Machine. And he said how it was unconventional. Didn't seem to care. Neither did we, though. And he goes, unfortunately, later on in his career, his talents weren't fully recognized and was not afforded an opportunity to be a world champion in WWE. Full on being WWE did not use Joe correctly. I would say later on, they definitely did it when they kept his ass stuck on commentary. That, to me, was the craziest thing. Moments. That was his lasting memory, was being on commentary for WrestleMania during the rain delay.
You know what's funnier is that I actually was there for Samoa Joe's world title. His one world title challenge. Great Balls of Fire against Brock Lesnar, that cleverly named Great Balls of Fire.
Great.
In Dallas, Texas. That was Samoa Joe's main event match for Brock Lesnar. That was world title shot. So when he says he didn't get a lot of opportunities, that is not a lie at all. And that's the one thing I do like about MJF from. It's mostly me, it's mostly real. It's mostly just stuff that happened in his life. And he was describing how he found out about Samoa Joe. He found out about Samoa Joe, and it was very funny. It was very, kind of similar to how I found out about Samoa Joe. Even weirder, I had seen a match with Samoa Joe in Ring of Honor, right, one night, and dude was kind of bigger, kind of had the, he didn't look conventional, and I was still in my WWE mind. I swear to you, I was with my friend Matt, and I looked at him and said, oh, that guy's never to WWE. To Samoa Joe. Yeah. Like, one guy that would end up being one of my favorite wrestlers as we went along in life. When I first saw him, I saw his body, and my brain still so WWE. All I could think, he ain't, now he's fucked kind of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it was the mind. MJF goes on to say, did change how people thought of him, whatever. Yes, I am one of those he showed me that didn't have to certain way to be a legit star. And even then that night when I saw him, he was doing his foot wash thing, and people screaming, ole, 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 ole. And it was like that. He had complete control of the crowd. And I was like, oh, this guy's just kind of an indie star. And it was just like what he has developed into. That same energy that fans were giving him in this place in Elizabeth, New Jersey, is the same energy that he gets now on a stage with thousands of people. So he proved me wrong. So I love that promo, because that promo just didn't speak to what was going on now. It spoke to a mindset that Samoa Joe had break and what might be his legacy in professional wrestling.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love that. As the promo goes on, he talks all about that. Yeah, he mentions Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, all of the names that he had to face. The one that he looks back on that says not only that I was lucky to be victorious against, but also lucky to survive was Joe. But he brings that up, and as he finishes his promo, the lights go dark, lights start flickering, and then Men in Black with all their heads covered and with the devil logo on their back, they grab MJF, they hold him down, and one of them has a baseball bat. He's about to use it on MJF, and then Samoa Joe comes out, sprints to the ring. The feed on TBS, I believe this was the case for everybody, but the feed on TBS literally dies for a good 50 seconds. Feed dies, it comes back, and a message reads, "In the shadows, our game begins. Next week, MJF and Samoa Joe, you face the unknown in a tag match. Are you a hero?" And MJF proceeds to get on the microphone and says, "I am so sick of your Scooby-Doo bullshit, and I'm not dealing with your crap when I've got Samoa Joe breathing down my back at World's End. I will take your men out one by one. I will unmask you, coward. And next week you want a tag match? You got one." And Samoa Joe is not happy. I don't know if the feed dying was intentional or if that was genuinely accidental, but man, it worked out perfectly. Because it left me completely, but thought it was a pretty solid segment, honestly. And again, like I said, this reveal, I don't normally try to be this has to hit or everything doom and gloom, but this devil reveal the way they've built this has been very, very strong, and a reveal like this is going to have a lot of eyes on it. I really hope this reveal is a home run, because man, they've done a good job of building it and keeping it a surprise. So I hope this reveal is a home run, because they've been doing a really good job with this, and I thought this was a continuation of that too.
Yeah, it seems like they've plugged their leaks. We don't know who it's going to be, and I completely agree. It's this is going to be a game changer. No matter which way it goes, it's either going to be the game changer for the negative or for the positive. I, of course, being a fan of AEW, am shooting for the positive. So yeah, but this was great. This was well done. They all had the devil mask logos on their stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
For sure. We had Wardlow come out and beat up AR Fox, winning again by a powerbomb stoppage. I would say that's just a match that was on. I don't know if we've got much else to add to that.
I do not. Nope. No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, trios match. The return of Dante Martin as him and Darius Martin, Top Flight, team up with Action Andretti against the Hardys and Brother Zay. I love the moment in this match where I believe Dante goes to do a springboard. He goes to do a springboard, and Jeff literally tries to dive towards the apron to grab him before he springboards off. I thought that was honestly a really good spot. And yeah, no, I thought this was a pretty solid trios match. Nice return for Dante Martin, getting the pinfall on Zay. And yeah, I just thought it was a nice little return. Like I said, only thing I would say is, what was your opinion of them showing Dante's injury multiple times? Because I saw some people who were like, why did you show me that? I didn't want to see that again.
I completely agree. It was completely.
That's exactly.
And somebody was there real time.
They showed
this
it
is
3
terrible.
times.
Yeah, this is terrible.
I was like, guys, don't do that again, please. It's like so gruesome to watch.
No, it was bad. Like bad in every different way of the word. It being bad is bad. It wasn't something everyone knows what happened. They did not need to show it once, let alone twice.
Yeah, so don't do that again, please. I was like, wow, why the hell are we doing this, guys? Like, we know what happened to him. Even if you showed an image of it, would be a bit much, I would say. But like the fact that they showed it in full speed ahead, we're gonna go through this twice. No, thank you. I did not ask. But again, very happy Dante's healthy. They go to commercial break and get interviewed. And then as Dante, Darius, and Andretti are being interviewed, Penta, Commander, and El Hijo del Vikingo come out and interrupted, and they challenged those three to a trios match. And I want to mention too, just because he fits in the group of these guys, this trios match is going to be awesome. But shout out to our boy Bandito. Unfortunately, had to get wrist surgery again, so hopefully he's able to heal up.
Yeah, it just didn't heal right, which is crazy.
Didn't heal right, and he needed to get surgery again, which is absolutely brutal. Like I said, best wishes go out to Bandito. But this trios tease that they are doing between these 6 guys, it's gonna be insane. Like, and again, this is that type of thing where it's like pro wrestling stuff that AEW has really leaned in on, and I like it a lot. And these types of matches, this is what AEW does so well. These guys are going to kill it.
Absolutely. And it's like, is there in the room? I think there's basically room for one sports entertainment company in the world, and no one does sports entertainment better than WWE. That's their brand. They invented it. That's what they do. But pro wrestling, there is an audience for pro wrestling. 2 men wrestling, the different reasons. 2 people wrestling. 2 people wrestling. Coming up with their, doing their own moves, doing for a reason, fighting for a prize, winner takes all. That kind of professional wrestling. There is room for it. There's a market. We are here. We're the market. I go back to doing what you know how to do.
Yes, absolutely. Moving on from that, we had the TBS Championship House Rules match between Julia Hart and Emi Sakura, and so they are doing the House Rules for Julia Hart. Only thing I would ask, all the House Rules matches have always had those, like, the lighting change and stuff like that. You would have not realized that this was a House Rules match, I feel like, if they didn't, mention it constantly. The House Rules matches always have the lighting. I feel like that should remain the same. I don't know about you, but, it at least lets me know that this is a House Rules match.
Absolutely. Don't water it down. So
exactly, and that's and the look is so good. It's such a good look, and I love it every time. Like when I was there in Detroit when they did the first House Rules match, like I loved the way the lighting and everything. It felt special. So please keep doing that. Emi and Julia Hart though did a solid job. Julia continuing her second title defense of the TBS Championship. Some nice couple wins under her belt. Hopefully we get to find out who eventually is going to be the ones that tries to take out Julia Hart, and I assume we're going to get either Sky Blue or Chris Statlander to try to work their way back up to a title shot. So Julia, though, really setting herself up and, being TBS champion. And again, she's already been so great considering how young she is, and it's been great to see her grow. And I especially just her entrance already one of the AEW's best, I would say.
Julia has big star qualities. I absolutely love that they seem to be really okay, let's go. We're going all in on her, and she's going to be not just a homegrown star. She's like her first match. One of her first matches were in AEW ring. So with her in the House of Black, ever since then, she felt like she was on another level. So I am really looking forward to how they build this up.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we had RJ City. Oh, also, I got to mention, I actually just skipped over this a little bit because I know somebody tweeted Timeless Toni Storm was backstage being interviewed, and she had her title belt on her head, and she was so exhausted, and she was fatigued after her championship celebration, but she will be fine though next week for her match. And she asked RJ City to remove her shoes because I think she said it wasn't a bunion. What was it that she said she had?
I have no clue. I don't remember.
All I know is that she asked RJ City to take off her shoes, and there was a pop for their taking off her shoes. And literally I was just like, y'all, listen, I love Toni Storm. She's my girl. and I'm not here to kink, but the pop for the foot like reveal a bit much in my eye. Even I'm not on that, but I'm not trying to yuck your yum. I'm not trying to kink shame, but a pop for a foot reveal is something I don't normally like. I don't condone. You know, as a Toni Storm lover, I'm not on that level. I'm insane for Toni Storm, but I'm not on that level. I want to make that perfectly clear. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying.
I was going to say, I'm telling you, in that moment, I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, does RJ City have the best job in the world? I mean, she was like sitting on top of him, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
And, you know, I'm just like...
And then, like, it carries into why I brought that back up, too, is because Mariah May was backstage. You know, she brought up again how she came from Stardom, and she's excited to show AEW what she can do. And, thanking RJ City for being, you know, introducing her to Toni Storm, and literally the joke is now his RJ Riz City, or Riz J City or whatever, like is his new nickname. Mariah then knocks on Tony Khan's door and then goes into his office. So Mariah May trying to work herself, getting into her first match in AEW. So that happened, but no, I had to comment on the foot thing. People tweeted me about it, and I'm like, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum, but I'm not okay with a pop for a foot review. That's all I'm saying.
It is what it is, brother.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Moving on, we move off to Patriarch himself, Christian Cage, TNT champion, responding to Adam Copeland's challenge for the TNT championship. He's got security. He goes, listen, I want to invite the Rated R superstar to the ring. Know you're back here. Just want to speak to you. Waited a little bit, and he goes, like, would like to speak to you if you wouldn't mind. Truck, can the truck hit his music? Please. And he goes, maybe I should come back there and speak to him. And then that's when Copeland runs down there. Christian gets behind his security and goes, management wanted me to have the security. It wasn't my idea. We don't need security. These gentlemen can vacate the ring. And he goes, listen, you challenged me to a TNT championship match, and I'm here to tell you we're not going to make it to Montreal. And it's because I wanted to say I'm sorry. I know what you're thinking. I'm only saying that because I'm on an island by myself. Last week, you took out Killswitch. You took out the Prodigy Nick Wayne. He also mentioned, he accidentally called Killswitch Luchasaurus. And I thought, even though I think that was a genuine mistake, I like it though just because it fit more so with Christian being flustered and trying to really, like, you know, be sincere and apologize when we all knew it was bullshit. I like the fact that he slipped up there because it was like, even though I think it was a genuine slip up, I thought it fit the promos a lot more.
He made it work. You know, he made it work.
Because it's again, he's trying to apologize to a man that wants to kill him. And the fact that he slipped up, again, only gives more credence to the fact that he's lying his ass off. So he goes, I was so mad when you hit kill switch with two concertos that he ran out of his house and drove with the windows down. He's like, turned into a road trip of soul search, digging down deep, trying to figure out how I became this guy who did and said such unsavory things. And then it reminded me of those times when we borrowed my mom's car. We were broke, having the time of our lives down the road, and we were going to make it. And we did make it. And we went to be multiple times tag team champions, the greatest tag team that ever lived, multiple time world champions. You take the wrestling part out of our relationship and it runs even deeper. Because everyone knows you grew up with a single mom. You never had a father figure. Yes, I am the patriarchy of AEW, but I'm your brother. You might not have had a father, but in turn, my father be father. He's still your biggest fan. We weren't just two random guys that were thrown together. I love you, man. We are family. And listen, when your mom passed away a few years ago, that was the hardest time of your life. Sometime before she passed, she said, what I wouldn't give to see you guys in a ring, tagging again, one last time. You know what? Let's do it for her. Let's do it for your mom. Let's do this. And Copeland sitting there, he turns around, and Christian, with the most, like, labored, like, drawn out, I'm gonna kill you with my belt attack, and it's so bad. The cheap shot is absolutely targeted, and Christian gets hit with a low blow, like Adam Copeland. He goes, nice try, dumbass. And he goes, since this belt, shine this belt up real nice. Next week, she's coming home with me. And oh, I almost forgot. Go fuck yourself. Tying it all back around what Christian said the first time they met. And they completely fucked up the censor.
Oh my God.
They completely missed it. They censored it like a full 5 seconds later.
They censored Christian's reply, which wasn't a cuss word. And so the national world, families watching together, heard Ed say, go fuck yourself on national TV. I fucking loved it. It's amazing. I hope no one gets in trouble. Believe me, but I'm just saying, as that moment, that shocking moment, I will never forget, because whoever was on the censor, there was either delay in the button or that person was just high or something, because it was super late. You might as well just not press the button.
That's what I'm saying. You might as well, like, literally just been like, you know what, we're just going to eat the bullet on this one.
Yes. Yeah. No, because if there's a fine, they got it, and it's crazy.
Yeah. No. It was.
I don't even know what to do. I don't even. Yeah. I didn't even do. Like shaking on the inside, laughing so hard.
I know.
Like even my post on Twitter was like 6 minutes too late because I was too busy laughing to actually press the post. I'm like, what? Because it was just so monumental. All you could do was laugh.
Yep. All you could do is just be like, holy crap, man. I can't believe that happened and they completely missed the boat on that. But moving off, we have the main event, another Gold League match, Swerve Strickland versus Jay Lethal, two men who were 1-0. One of them had to take their first loss, and these guys killed it. This match was spectacular. I would say this is the best match the Continental Classic had so far. I mean, they absolutely did amazing stuff. Jay White literally at a point where he almost basically ran into the ref, and then Jay tried to get a low blow, but Swerve proceeds to catch him and set him up for the house call, hit the Swerve stomp, and Jay White still kicks out. And that was spectacular. But even still, he hits the Blade Runner, and he gets knocked out of the ring. And then Jay proceeds to get him back in. And then Swerve goes ahead. He hits the Blade Runner. Well, actually, no, he counters the Blade. And then he rolls up Jay White. He gets the win. Swerve Strickland is now 2-0. Him and Moxley are top of the Gold League with 6 points. Jay White falls to 1-1. So he is now tied with Roosh with 3 points in the Gold League. And listen, I'm saying this straight up, dude. I've been like Swerve Strickland. He's talked about how he wants to be the number one guy, and he wants to be the first African-American world champion in AEW. And I say he absolutely deserves that. Swerve Strickland is a freaking star. He is a star. And he's quickly become one of my favorites in AEW, and he is spectacular. I mean, it's outstanding how good he is. And I'm the one that I want Swerve to represent the Gold League so bad. And when we get Swerve Strickland versus Jon Moxley, that right now is my most anticipated match in this entire tournament. Because I think, well, actually, that's a lie. I think it's that, Swerve and Moxley, and Bryan Danielson and Claudio. Those are my two most anticipated matches in the tournament. But holy cow, dude, Swerve is outstanding. And just, you can see this is a look of a man that has absolutely taken this top spot, ran.
He's absolutely locked.
He is.
He's locked in. His whole presentation, he knows what his character, who his character, what is the in-ring performance, never been. I want to give a shout out to the announce team. If I thought during this match, this was some of the best wrestling sports-based analysis ever. Bryan Danielson there talking about how Jay White wrestles a more defense style, how his style with Swerve is going to work, and how the match is going a little slower. And I was listening, and I was like, it felt like in this moment, it felt like I was listening to MMA and someone break it down. It was such a I don't know if they were doing it for every match, but it just felt like in this match they really broke down through opponent strength, why they balanced against each other, and they called it this is happening, this, they're breaking down a fight. And I just thought that was really, really good. I was really impressed.
And Danielson was on commentary for all of those matches too, and he added a ton.
Yeah, and it was I remember when he was doing the Cruiserweight Classic, how good Bryan Danielson. He was amazing. Yeah. So I felt like he brought that into the C2, and I just thought these 3 matches with Bryan Danielson commentary just felt so much bigger. But that match between Swerve and Jay White, man, I thought that they wrestled perfectly. I wouldn't, if you were like, man, who has styles that really work with each other well? I don't know if I ever would have said Swerve and Jay White, and their styles seem to work perfectly against each other. Even down to how the match ended, it was just perfect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great way to close out the show. Great way to close out Dynamite. Those last 2 moments, dude, I'm telling you, having the Adam Copeland Edge promo followed up by that match, that last hour of Dynamite was spectacular. It was so good. And the rest of the other matches on the Continental Classic tournament were also great. But man, dude, I just gotta say that last hour was so good. So I just have to mention that. Now that is our Dynamite preview. Going through right now, we will go and give our current standings though for the Continental Classic as they stand right now. So like I said, currently in the Gold League, Moxley and Swerve lead the way with 6 points with a 2-0 record. Jay White and Roosh are currently behind, each with 3 points. They are 1-1, followed up by Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe. Both have yet to earn a point and are 0-2. Brody King and Claudio lead the way in the Blue League, each 1-0, and we'll get their second matches going in this week. And we have two wrestlers who have not fought. Andrade El Idolo and Bryan Danielson yet to have their first matches, so they sit with no points whatsoever, and they are 0-0. And then Daniel Garcia and Eddie Kingston are 0-1, also with 0 points. So, and we're going to get those matches as things go on for Collision this upcoming Saturday. As things stand, like I said, currently Moxley still has to go through Swerve, Roosh, and Jay White. Swerve's got to go through Moxley, Roosh, and Mark Briscoe. Roosh has got to go through Mox, Swerve Strickland, and Jay Lethal. And that's how, and then Mark's going to go through all the other, and like basically you know how that goes right. And then we'll go ahead and give our previews for Rampage. Rampage, we're going to have the Outcasts and Anna Jay. So Saraya and, we're going to have Saraya and Ruby Soho face off against Hikaru Shida, Sky Blue, and Chris Statlander. We're going to have Brian Cage and the Workhorsemen versus Penta, Commander, and El Hijo del Vikingo. So ahead of their trios match that they're going to have against Top Flight and Action Andretti. Don Callis family is going to be in action. Another a big 8-man tag. Orange Cassidy, Hook, Danhausen, and Trent versus Daddy Magic, Cool Hand Ange, and the Dark Order. So we're going to have not a Dark Order being represented by Evil Uno and oh dear God, who is why am I blanking on his name?
Okay, you said okay. Whose name are we? I mean, like
it's not Evil Uno, but it's not Evil Uno, and it's not
Alex Reynolds.
Alex Reynolds, that's what it was. Yep, okay. Thank you, because it wasn't John Silver, and it wasn't Alex. I was just blanking on it right now. So that's Rampage. On Collision, we have continue with the Blue League. Claudio versus Brody King. So they're going to be facing off. The top two members in the Blue League face off. Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston. Daniel Garcia versus Andrade Ali will be taking place on Collision. And one last thing, too, I want to mention, too, before I toss this off to Floyd, just to give his thoughts on things coming up. Billy Starks finally turned on Athena, and we have the official announcement that at Final Battle, Billy Starks versus Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. Hell yes! My girl Billy Starks and my girl Athena. Like, I love both of those, and their story that they've had on Ring of Honor has been a lot of fun. Athena is like one of the best things in Ring of Honor, and these two I think are going to kill it. So I just want to mention that. So if you have any reason to tune into Final Battle, tune into those two. And Athena literally cut a promo giving Eddie Kingston shit, basically, for the way that he called out Ring of like stuff too. So she called out Eddie Kingston, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it's time for her, and it's not the way to say it, but it's time for her to call.
Yes,
she needs to be on Dynamite and Page.
That's what I'm saying.
She's done her run in Ring of Honor. She's been the king in Ring of Honor. She's ran the division. She's put it on her back, but it's time for her to move up. Give
Billy Starks the big rub of taking down Athena, and then bring Athena up to the main roster and bring her up to Dynamite and Collision and all of that, because she's spectacular.
Yes, absolutely.
But currently, though, Floyd, give me your thoughts currently about the way that things stand for the Continental Classic and our upcoming matches that we're going to have on Collision for the Continental Classic.
Dude, I think is when I look at it on the Dynamite side, I think it's all leading to Mox and Swerve. I just truly think they'll both be undefeated going into their match against each other, which I think will be the last match, and the winner will win the block. And on the other side, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I mean, you got King, and he, fighting, he's the underdog. Everyone loves him because he's the underdog. So fighting from that underdog spot is amazing. And then Bryan Danielson, it's like, man, if you want to have the first ever Triple Crown champion, whose name would bring more prestige?
That's the thing, because I look
Danielson.
at the Blue League, and it's so hard to see who comes out of the Blue League.
Yeah, and it's like
Gold League, it seems like it's a little bit more like sewn up, that it's gonna be Mox and Swerve, maybe Jay White.
I think like in that group, in the Collision group, as I think all of the guys could accept Daniel Garcia. I don't think it's time. I just don't think that's a book. But I think you go with Eddie King, fine. Bryan Daniels, fine. Claudio, fine. Brody King, fine. I mean, personally, I would like to see Brody King win, because I do think you could just turn him and make a star. But it depends. Like, you're gonna set the tone term. If it's Mox and Bryan Daniels, I think that's amazing match. But in the end, it's boring. You know what I mean? It's just spectacular.
Yeah, and plus we've seen it before. I would say for this tournament, you need to have a match that people either haven't seen in a very long time or something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I can't have the BCC run the Continental Classic. I just can't.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Mox and Kingston in a long time. I heard someone say it could come down to Mox and Kingston, and I was...
It's possible.
Man, that would be fun. And
that to me, even though that's this feud that we've seen, but the fact that it could come down to that, especially considering that Eddie has got so much more to lose.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's Mox and Swerve in that first group, and, I think it's them, and I think start there. And then in the other group, I think it's like 4 people, but I think it'll end up Bryan Danielson or Eddie King. I'm going to go, so I am liking how they're working out. I love that. I just thought that was amazing.
It's a great way, and that's the thing. It works so much more for Eddie. Because even though he already has the titles and he was considered a favorite, him taking an early loss is exactly what a tournament like this, it's great story to work off of. Like I said, I thought that was a great moment on Collision that they saw. I want to just give big shout out to that. And I'm excited to see how he fares when he goes up against Bryan Danielson.
You know what'll pop me Saturday? Beyond the dumbest thing ever is if Bryan Danielson comes out in Phantom.
Oh my God.
Because he still has to protect the eye.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that would be spectacular. Absolutely. One last thing I want to mention too, because it wasn't written on our notes, but I want to mention it. Serena Deeb posted on her Instagram basically expressing why she's gone, and she suffered.
You did not scroll down far enough.
Oh, did I not?
Look at the additional news.
Oh, you did put it down there. Holy crap! Yeah, there's an extra page. Jesus Christ, I did not see. Okay, I literally saw the page.
You know what? We can talk about it now, but yes.
Yeah, we'll just go to that right now because I want to it popped up on my feed again, but plus Serena Deeb has been one of my favorites for the women's division, and I was constantly saying, where has she been? Where has she been? Where has she been? She told us where. Floyd, do you want to go ahead and let everyone know?
Yes, Serena Deeb. I actually watched the video. She has 3 unprovoked seizures, so it's basically seizures that come out of nowhere.
Since last October.
Since last October. That's why it's in wrestling. And she's been working with a neurologist. She finally is officially come back. So no, she wasn't in the doghouse, which is a report I heard. No,
it's terrible.
No, I heard that report, and it's just no, she wasn't in the doghouse. Now I want to use this as a time. I'm glad it's better. I'm sorry we've had but come on, shout out to A, man. Come on, you want to talk about keeping private shit private? I didn't hear this from anywhere.
Not a word
from anybody. Come on, tell me, taking care of people, right? I didn't, my friends, all those, I haven't heard anything that she was not feeling well. So, going through this, and I'm glad she got to control when the information came. I'm glad she got to control. She got to do it all. This is the way it should be done with this kind of. He was able to handle it and able to come out with the information. They, ignore the rumors. So I am so happy that Serena's feeling better. I'm happy that she's getting back. It's safe for her to get back, and I'm looking forward to watch her because I've always enjoyed her in
Absolutely. I mean, Serena Deeb has been, I love her, and it's not just because she was in the SS. She had literally had one of my favorite women's feuds. Her and Hikaru was one of my favorite women's feuds. One of my favorite feuds, period. And I missed her tremendously. So I'm glad that she's cleared. That's scary as hell to have that happen. I'm very happy that she's doing okay, though. I cannot wait to see her back on TV. And remaining in other news, too, Floyd, we have one last news. We have a parting from it.
Yes, and QT Marshall finishing up with AEW. Let me read his statement. Thank you, AEW. Thank you, Tony Khan. I've had the privilege day 1, and I've written over 750 formats for All Elite Wrestling, and always with pride. As much as I've enjoyed being a VP, manager of talent relations, and wearing a myriad of hats, the company has changed a lot since 19 and is heading in a different direction, and I feel that it's best I do the same, as we only get one chance to go all in. I have officially resigned from AEW and have fulfilled all my obligations by the end of 2023. Thank you to everyone from the front office to the production truck to some of the hardest working talents in the sport. Most importantly, thank you to all who booed, cheered, and took part in Seize My Life. So, yeah. So, a lot of I have always heard QT is the hardest working person in AEW that doesn't, ask for any credit or anything. Works hard, heads down. I know at one point, Tony Khan's right-hand, person. He went. So, if that's the case, great. I say no, but, rumors and any whatever. But, yeah, QT's been there from the beginning. He's always been there, and he's always been a hard worker. I thank him for his time there. I've heard people speculating what this means inside AEW. AEW's burning, QT's gone. But you know what? Again, wrestling's wrestling. Professional wrestling's wrestling. It moves on. People switch jobs. People move on. He decided, you know what? I can do something somewhere else, whatever. He runs the Nightmare Factory. He does all this stuff. This dude wears more hats than people have heads. It's like all he does. So there's no telling what he's gonna do next. But I wish him the best. He helped launch AEW. Like I said, he started as one thing and then ended up being so much more. So shout out to QT. Thank you, QT. I wish you the best in whatever you do next.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he did a lot for AEW, and I assume him going back to continue stuff with the Nightmare Factory will be spectacular. And dude, he was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with.
I personally enjoyed QTV. I was all about QTV.
QTV gave me Harley Cameron for the first time, so thank you very much for that.
I got to hear her rap.
Yes.
And the whole thing was, I heard about QTV, like different rumors and innuendos. I'm talking about rumors, none of it maybe, but I heard about the whole QTV was supposed to help launch Powerhouse Hobbs. We were very open about that. Powerhouse Hobbs seemed bigger than QTV. We were young,
significantly.
Yes. Like I didn't think that was the best spot. It is what it is. All I've heard is the wrestling genius, hard worker. I think he's a really good wrestler. He's obviously a fantastic trainer. This dude is good at pretty much everything he does. So I think he'll be an asset wherever he goes.
No question about that. But I believe that is everything that we have, though, in terms of news and everything for all things Elite. I think that'll do it for us, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Apologies for me missing out on Full Gear's review, but if you want my thoughts, spectacular show. Swerve Strickland is a star. That match was unbelievably incredible. The rest of the show filled with a lot of great stuff. Julia Hart, star-making performance from her as well. And Young Bucks are no longer on my TV until they come back as heels, and I'm excited for when they come back and they actually become some of the biggest heels in the company, because I think they will be spectacular. I also love Brandon Cutler being their sources say and all that kind of stuff. I thought that's funny. So I'm excited to see when they come back, though, after they had their temper tantrum after they lost to the Golden Knights. So those are my quick little thoughts, though, on Full Gear, if anybody was curious. But it was a really, 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 really good show. AEW continuing the great shows that they've had, focusing in on pro wrestling, even though CM Punk couldn't come back, which I know everybody, well, at least we wanted, but, just wasn't meant to. But it's okay. Everything will be okay. But thank you guys for tuning in. Continue to download this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. You listen to us on Spotify, wherever you choose to listen to us. Please give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Leave a rating and review and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Twitter at ATElitePod, at Social Suplex. Make this show possible, and you can check out all the other shows they have on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ. Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. Enjoy wrestling, everybody. And I will pass things off to Floyd on this eventful episode of all things.
Well, if you're listening to this show, you're obviously a AEW. I'm going to ask a tiny favor. Go to Shop AEW. Show to shopaew.com. Search for your favorite wrestler. Support your company. Support your favorite wrestler. And then I'm going to ask you to do one more weird thing. Find your third favorite wrestler. Buy something. It's like, no, I really am. I mean, that's how you show support in wrestling. You have your song, you have everything. That's all great about your favorite. But buy the stuff. I mean, I just put in the order, and I made sure the order didn't have anything FTR. And that's the weirdest thing to say, but shit, I support the shit out of FTR. They're my favorite tag team. So I pretty much have most of what they have out there. So I want to really look at supporting the other guys. Definitely buy Swerve. It's all fire. And support the that you watch every week. Show that it's the way you vote. You vote with your dollar. You vote with your time. You vote with your dollar. So if you want your favorite wrestlers on there more, vote with your time. Vote with your dollars. I did want to address one thing. Tony Khan. People were off crazy. Went crazy because Tony Khan said, "Put your money where your mouth. Watch the product that you say you want." And I'm like, I never even saw a problem. Watch the product that you say you want. It's like people scream for a certain type of wrestling, and then you'll look at the ratings numbers, and the segment will drop. It's like, vote with your eye, vote with your time, vote with your dollar. And as we head till this is the down stretch of Christmas, I want to say all of you have a Merry Christmas. Don't stress yourself out too much about buying things. Sometimes just being there, being with your family, sometimes a lunch date or something, that's enough. Time is the commodity that you can give to anybody that you love in your life, and they will appreciate it. We all have stuff. I mean, some have more stuff than other stuff, but the one thing that you can't buy, one thing you can't, is that time, those moments that you build when you're just hanging and being with your family. So do that. Send out your Christmas cards, buy your Christmas gifts, whatever you can afford. Don't spend more than you can afford. And last but not least, whether it is home or work or school, always do your best to be elite.